Hi, my name is Daniel Regan, and welcome to HealingUS Podcast. We have Nicholas Lucarello with us today, founder of Fight Life LLC, and man, does he have a story, and of trials, tribulations, of family trauma, childhood trauma, and you turned it around. You were the key to turn around generational curse.
Oh, you said it right, brother.
So please share with our listeners, your background and, what led us here today.
Yeah. So, where do I start? I was born to parents of heroin addicts, okay? I was born withdrawing and ultimately led that lifestyle with my parents on the street, and my mother a prostitute and my father ultimately being okay with that, right? So along with that lifestyle and ultimately to become on my own at 13 years old.
Which is a very young age to have to grow up that quick and already be subjected to survival mode, really, at the womb, right?
Yes, yeah. Already surviving right out the womb, So it's just man. Growing up, watching your parents ultimately doing drugs and putting needles in their arm and passing out and ODing and living in abandoned buildings. And then, my little sister's born too on top of that. So I'm 7 years older and we're in abandoned buildings and I'm holding my sister and my parents are, ODing in the abandoned building bathroom, And so I remember saying, that I'm gonna protect myself and my sister, at that young age, and that really takes a toll on you.
You became a parent.
Yeah, it really takes 13. A toll on you. Right, essentially. So living that lifestyle on the street and just never looking back and just always moving forward, from Paterson, New Jersey. So selling drugs and ultimately, being a professional collector and, and I don't want to say professional, but seasoned, I would say, right? Mm-hmm. And becoming a force to reckon with on the street.
You became a bouncer at a go-go bar at 15 years old.
Yeah, so a guy named Frank Mattias, he played for the Detroit Lions back in the day, NFL, and he came up with something called Sewer Fit. Anyway, he owned a go-go bar in Paterson called Haraz, and it was funny how we met up. But ultimately, as dysfunctional as it became, it took me off the street. Mm-hmm. So I worked in a go-go bar, all nude go-go bar, from 15 years old till about 21, and
it got you off the street and kind of gave you somewhat of a safe harbor. And
somewhat, yeah, if you could say that, yeah. It was, although it was dysfunctional, it was still, better than the situation I had already came with.
Busy.
Yeah, correct. Than I already was coming out of, essentially. So it was a lesser of the two evils.
Isn't it crazy when we're in an environment like that, how the definition of normal changes, right? And when you're in it and you have a type of trauma and experiences you had as a young child, you're working in a go-go bar at 15, you're like, this is like paradise, this is great, this is so much safer than where I was.
Well, right, yeah, right, go figure. Right. And so it essentially became my family, right, at that time. And then a lot of fighting on the street, a lot of brutalness on the street, protecting your area and being of a white race at that time in Paterson. So it's like, you're the only kind of white boy in that area.
You're the minority. Then.
Yeah, we're the minority at that area, which I welcomed with open arms. Mm-hmm. As funny as it may sound.
Huh. You were making a legend for yourself.
Essentially, that's what I said to myself. I said, really, the streets ain't seen nothing yet, and I'm just going to be the best crazy man on the street that I could possibly be, you know. And that's really what it became down to. It became down to, like, you know, respect, honor, and loyalty on the street, and knowing that if you fuck up on one, you're going to lose all three. And that's not really good for your life at that moment.
So where did you know, you were fighting for survival on the street, right? To get through the next day, to get the work done for the day, whatever it may be. When did it change? Go like, I want to do this professionally, or where did that dream come about? Where like, hey, I want to. This might be my out.
So I'll fast forward a little bit. My crime wave, as you might say, like carried on to my adult years, and so I'm trying to make a transition because I got kids at the time. I got a little boy at the time, which he was 3 years old. So I know I needed to, you know, make that life change and not continue this generational curse, as you said, you know. So that's what I tried to do, but obviously I couldn't. It wasn't on time, and you never mix the good with the bad, and it came down on me. And ultimately, the Attorney General ran down on me. They had an 18-month secret indictment on me, which ended in 2005 when they arrested me at a $500,000 bail, and they raided my house, took my kid, arrested my wife at the time, and
so this was like a sting operation.
Yeah, it was
like they were investigating for a while.
Yeah,
and then
it was fencing. It was stolen goods. So I had a big operation with stolen goods.
Gotcha.
You know.
So were you like out of it at the time when like everything got raided, or were you still kind of dabbling in that?
I was still kind of dabbling.
But you had plans to kind of escape.
Yeah, I had my idea was because I had properties too. I had four properties at the time, and I was just trying to make that transition into, you know,
legit
proper, you know, as much as I could, and God had a different plan, and so they raided my house and locked me and which was my wife at the time, locked her up, locked me up. And took my son, which was 3 years old at the time, and
so he ended up in child protective services
for a little while. But then, you know, she got bailed out. I bailed her out, and then she went back to the house, and then, you know, kind of everything settled down back to normalcy as much as it could be. Right. And
so did you get a prison sentence from?
Yeah. So they offered me. My first offer was 25 years. And then, so I copped out to 8. Okay. And I did 4 off the 8. Yeah, Trenton State Prison, Rawway.
So that's from 25 years old to?
No, that was 2005.
Okay.
So I was 30, 2005. So do the math. I just turned 50 July 8th.
Oh, you're gonna make me do math right now?
Yeah. So I'm a good back. Yeah, 2005. Yeah, so that's 20 years ago.
Yeah, so, yeah, okay, so you're, 30.
Yeah.
29, 30.
Yeah, 29, 30. And so I did like 3.5 years, like 26 months on ISP, and I come home. And I started a dream, which I wanted to be, I always wanted to be in the UFC. So a buddy of mine had a hook. I fought all my life boxing.
So like prison was like a wake-up call. You had time to like think about things and like, okay, I really need to rearrange my life.
I just really need to rearrange stuff and come out the gate correct. Yeah. You know, and really switch this generational curse. Right. You know, really. And so I come home and I pursued a dream. And I signed a contract to go into the Ultimate Fighter House to ultimately win the contract to go into the UFC. And I was with Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall was he's my dearest buddy, a good friend of mine, and was my trainer partner at the time. And training, and then I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And it really attacked me, like really aggressively. They tried to stop it with chemotherapy. My hair fell out. My teeth, some of my teeth felt like it was craziness, man. And so I woke up ultimately with my intestines on the outside of me. And after signing the contract, ultimately had to demonstrate my skills in front of Tiger Showman's to get into that, to Fight House, and then into the rest of the stuff. So it really was a good journey. And then
So how long were you able to get like training and fighting? Like, did that contract start? You were there like working, and then this happened to you, like major fallout.
Yeah, so I went back to the union. I was working for the union, Local 325 in Jersey City. So I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning, in the gym at 4:30.
You're grinding.
Training. Yeah, I'm really grinding. I really did what I needed to do, and I was really proud of myself at the time. Because everything was self-drive.
Flip of a lifestyle. Like you went from living on the street, kind of organized crime, and to like a very structured lifestyle.
Yeah, everything's self.
Watching what you eat, training, working.
Discipline.
A lot of discipline. Huge switch.
Yeah, I found that, motivation, if you're going to do something on motivation, that's not going to happen. Motivation runs out,
Well, external motivation runs out.
Yeah, and
you
then
gotta have that internal fire.
Yeah,
right?
and then you have to have the discipline to carry that.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's just my opinion that you're not going to really, that
well,
motivation is going to burn out one way or the other.
Your focus is all over.
Correct.
The place, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
That's a trait that you obviously have held from a child. It's probably developed from that survival mechanism, and you learned how to exploit it for positive reasons.
Yeah. It really was an eye opener, because I turned around and thought about I'm really structured and focused on the street, and I just carried that into normal business as time went on.
Which is huge, because that's when you turn your most of the time when we look at our curse, right? This thing is a part of my character, and it's just always in my way.
Yeah.
Usually, when you apply it in a different fashion or a different perspective, it becomes a gift, right? It gives you that acceleration in life.
Yeah, and to be aware of that, was big for me to be aware of that and grab a hold of that and ride it out.
So you go through all this character development, and you must be on fire at this time. My God, it's happening. My dream is coming true, and then you get smacked with this.
Was the best thing that ever happened to me. I remember saying to myself, I can't even believe it. This is where I'm at, and then ultimately woke up with my intestines on the outside of me.
So So you obviously had to get surgery done at this time, and that ultimately hurt your fighting career.
Well, yeah, because now I have a colostomy bag, and I have no large intestine and no colon, so I had a full colectomy, and that really put things in perspective.
Yeah.
Because I should have talked to somebody with that, because the doctor said to me, maybe you might need a psychologist or something, maybe you want to talk to, and that's where ego came involved. And I could look at it now and I should have said, yeah, you know what, doc, maybe I might want to speak to somebody after that, But my ego got the best of me, and I said to him, you never seen somebody like me. And I guess I needed it at that time, because it was really a real big mountain to climb, and I've been climbing mountains all my life, so it's to see this mountain was almost I'm fucking, give me the fucking mountain,
Yeah,
and
gonna stop me.
And I'll just fucking tackle it,
I'll prove you all wrong.
And I did, but it left a lot of it was a lot of residual, brother. A lot of
so there's resentment,
a lot of hurt,
a lot of
a lot of resentment towards my parents, and at that time, so that unlocked all the childhood trauma and all, and all the way through.
Well, you're thrown right back into survival mode again.
Correct.
And this mountain that you felt like you're at the top of, you're peaking on this dream, oh my God, I made it here, got ripped out from underneath you, right?
most
So
certainly did.
it's like, what the fuck am I gonna do now? You know?
I've always looked towards God. I never, ever asked why, but always how, you know, and that was a big help in life because I always believed, and you know, and He was always there in a time of need. You know, I look back and I looked at one set of footprints, but it wasn't mine. You know, it was Him carrying me. So, you know,
Yeah,
that was big.
Having that spiritual sense to lean on and having faith, right? It is a
It's
vital
unbreakable.
part
Yeah.
of willpower, right? Of being able to get through that next moment.
Self-drive.
It gives you something to lean on when nothing else is there.
Yeah, I never had anything to lean on all through. Like, I played football, I wrestled, you know, as in elementary school. Nobody was there. You know, it was always self-drive, you know. And then just to rewind a little bit, I like to mention this. I think this is really a key moment. Is that so like, you know, they put me in Don Bosco residential camp with Salesian Brothers in Newton, New Jersey.
Okay,
They had it.
yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard of it.
I have.
Yeah. So I got
It's
molested.
been closed for a while.
Yeah, I was molested there, and coming through. I have a case right now open, right now for the last 3 years.
Yeah, I saw like a big what do they call that? Like a class action lawsuit going on with that.
Yeah. So yeah. So I guess that was a part of it. You know, it became a part of that.
Of course.
Yeah. But yeah, I ultimately put the gas to the put the metal to the pedal as far as moving forward with that, and because that's been on my mind every day, as you can imagine, since then.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just need to know where he's at right now.
Yeah.
So
Well,
and that's
I
moving
mean,
forward, yeah.
you know, when we talk about trauma, when we talk about physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, right?
Yeah.
It's
top level.
especially, you know, with your mindset that you've been a fighter your entire life, right? And then something happens to you in that regard, you automatically go through this self-defeating internal dialogue that, like, why'd you let that happen to you, right? Like, you know, you start questioning your identity and who you are, which, you know, you internally combust in that sense, and you end up really blaming yourself for the issue, right? Which
I always, I mean, I had always a big problem with that because I could always handle the brunt of everything, you know. So I always put it on me, you know, and became a crazy empath. Like, you know, I'll handle the hurt more than somebody that I love, you know. So, and that comes with its own set of dynamics.
of course you're carrying a lot
Good
of
and
weight then.
good and really bad.
Yeah.
You know.
So you end up in the hospital. You have this surgery. You're left in a state where, you know, your dream being in the UFC is kind of faded at this point. So what happens from there?
Over a 5-year period, I find myself in the hospital a month and a half to 2 months each time over a 5-year period. So 5 times over a 5-year period.
And are these all the surgeries? That
Yeah,
have to
so
take
these are
place?
all the surgeries. So
Okay.
they opened me up 5 times. I had major complications, sepsis, and you know, I had really major complications. And so as you know, like they hook you right away up to morphine and Dilaudid drip. So the first couple times, you know, I win, and you know, I'm hooked up a month and a half on the morphine. Come home, kick the habit, right? Like physically, and then it just got a hold of me after like the 3rd time, and I went from fighting professionally and being in the top shape of my life to turning around and I'm smoking fentanyl. I'm smoking 200 bags of fentanyl a fucking day.
So yeah, like, well, one, you're in this state where you're trying to find your feet again, and you got 5 years of medical intervention to get your body right. And I'm sure there's probably like, am I going to survive this kind of going through your head? So you get into that like.
No, I never questioned myself with that.
Yeah, you're like, I'm going to get through it.
I really never questioned myself. I really didn't even really know how serious it was until like the doctor really sat me down and said, you know, because my aunt had asked him, like, Doc, well, because I picked out all my doctors, Dr. Michael Hara, these like channel set. I picked out some pretty good doctors, and so the question was asked, like, how severe is it, Doc? Like, we were all together in the room, and he said, I don't know, 2 days, 2 weeks. He says, but I've been doing this 25 years. I've never seen anybody of this nature come like this. He said, I've never seen anything like it. He had over 25 surgeries, just ulcerative colitis out of Mount Sinai. And so that was pretty big. And that was a pretty big motivation to hear that, because after that, like, I was working out with all tubes in me in the hospital. Yeah. So, like, I wasn't, like, as much as I could. So, like,
doing like push-ups.
Yeah, bro. I had tubes all on me. Yeah, man. Like fall risks and all that. But I just wasn't
I'm
going to
sure
stop.
your doctor loved that. It was probably part
no,
of
he didn't really love it.
Yeah.
But I really didn't care, because I'm going to do what I need to do.
Right.
Yeah. So
so you end up through these surgeries, you're taking opiate medication, based medication.
Correct.
You're already kind of subjected to addiction traits because you're born addicted, right?
Correct.
So
yep.
you do this over and over again, it catches up with you.
I never touched drugs.
Wow.
I mean, little shit here and there, like smoke weed or some shit like that through life, but
not a hard drug.
Never. Yeah, my addiction was to the street.
The
you
phones, you were trying to get away from that.
The lifestyle.
You probably didn't want to be your parents, right? You had that.
Well, of course not.
Right.
Yeah.
So you stayed away from that.
Yeah. So we I made sure that which I thought was the furthest away.
So what happened from there? Now you're smoking 200 bags of fentanyl a day.
Yeah, so I'm smoking 200 bags of fentanyl a day. I got about a $700 a day habit. I blew through a couple $100,000. I lost houses. I lost respect and everything else with it. I lost everything. And then to get that back was something that I needed to tackle and I wanted to tackle. So I went on a journey.
Where did that realization come from?
I was sitting in a bush with a $3,000 jacket on, a Montclair jacket, sitting in a bush like this, smoking it. And all of a sudden it just came upon me, and I'm saying to myself, what the am I doing? And that was the start of the journey of really putting it down and getting back on track. And
you said you had like another moment as well, when you were at the methadone clinic.
Yeah. So that was all along the same trajectory of that,
So you went from, you had that realization, and you're like, I need to do something.
Yeah, I go into the methadone clinic after that, right? I got to do something about that. So I went to the methadone clinic right after that. And here I am, I look around, and I'm at the same movie set as I was at 3 years old with my mother and my father where they met, at the same exact methadone clinic in Paterson, New Jersey. And I turned around, brother, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? What am I doing? Excuse my language, what am I doing?
All this work, all this fight.
Oh my God, brother. And here I am. Yeah, and here I am listening to a security guard, 100 pounds, telling me to get online for my, for the slaughter. Right. So essentially, like, right, for the shit. And I just walked off.
And this is what happens when we don't address what's happening internally to us, right? Like what goes around kind of comes around, and history repeats itself.
It does.
Yeah, like we try to avoid something so much that it ends up becoming us, right? Like when we have a parent or a loved one or someone that was supposed to support us and guard us from life, and they didn't. They failed to do that. We go, we don't want to be that. We don't want to be that. We don't want to be that. And then somehow we end up there. And I talk about that power of intention, law of attraction. All the time.
Big time, bro.
And
Carl Jung.
Yeah, absolutely. And it takes a huge perspective shift. And I'm so glad that you were blessed with that realization moment, because you decided to do something about it then.
Oh my God. To actually be aware of what you're doing, 7 out of 10 people don't even have an inner dialogue, brother. Like,
they're not listening to it.
They're not even like, and so like, I have the ability to really step out the house and look in, literally. And God blessed me with that, and it's a blessed curse because nobody could hide either. Right. Like I see everybody coming, and but I wouldn't change it for the world, and so it allowed me to really see myself raw on who I was, and make some adjustments, brother, and not be a victim in my own circumstances.
Yeah, changing that external locus of control, right? Where like, hey, I'm just going through life and life just keeps doing these things to me. Like this man in the sky just keeps poking me for whatever reason. Like
Correct.
That kind of mindset too.
Correct.
And an internal locus of control where I can actually make my own destiny, right? I like the things that I do, the behaviors that I exhibit, the actions that I take can actually determine where I end up.
Well, I know if you don't write your story, somebody else will.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to have somebody else write my own story.
There you go.
So I know what it is.
So you went to treatment after this. You decided.
So I go to Mount Sinai in Nyack, New York, and they detoxed me with methadone. Craziness, and
That's all they had.
what's
Well,
that?
no, they had Suboxone.
They had Suboxone, but like I looked specifically for the methadone, right? Because they started. It's crazy because the regular methadone clinic will start you like whatever you want, but here they,
it's a detox dose.
Yeah, it's a detox 7 milligrams they started me with. I'm like, that's not going to be enough.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, it will. And I'm like, no, it won't. And it was. And I'm like, beautiful, 4 days. I was good, and then I just worried about the sleeping and the rest of the crap, But so in that, like I come out of there clean, and a buddy of mine opens a gym called Excel in Fairfield, and we opened a boxing program. I started out with 180 clients over the 6 months that I accumulated, and I seen that working with the kids, it was a mentorship through combat sports, So I rode with that, and I sat down and put the pen to the paper, and I wrote a hybrid curriculum. Next to a clinical curriculum that my buddy had, owns 2 outpatient programs called New Pathways, and we collaborated together, and I wrote this called Fight Life Academy, Fight Life LLC, and it was mentorship through combat sports. So I found out that if I throw a punch at you, and the body doesn't say, let me move out the way because I'm going to get hurt. The body says, I'm going to move out of the way because I'm going to die. And that so-called jolt, puts a lot of things I've seen that put a lot of kids back into perspective back on a right thinking track, and made them aware of what they're doing in their surroundings.
Boxing is really, it was a big part of my early recovery as well. Like I joined a boxing gym, and one, it gives you discipline, right?
Bravo.
And I always look at boxing like it's a chess game, right?
Saved
that you're
my
playing
life.
with somebody else. And I had a great mentor and a great coach.
See that?
Which goes a long way.
You see, brother, right?
Yeah. And just the life lessons that you learn while fighting. Like it's not about like hurting the other person or anything like that. It's realizing that there's a mind-body connection deep inside you.
Correct.
And it comes out when you're in that kind of mode, and there's so much introspective insight that you get in those lessons.
Correct.
Aside from self-defense, but those soul lessons, I like to call them.
Of course, of course. So it's like boxing really saved my life. Understood? I've been boxing since I'm 15 years old, and it really saved my life. And I'm not saying only, to protect myself, but the discipline-wise, the discipline of it, and what it gives you the ability to see. So like and that's not with your eyes, right? So it gives you the ability to really know your surroundings and what's going on, and the confidence in that you can protect yourself, and with knowing that really saves a lot of other people and a lot of problems.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So you've had great success with this program. So you had some statistics. Would you like to share them with our viewers?
Yeah. So we decided. We built a professional boxing gym in the outpatient program. So
That's awesome.
so I built a boxing gym inside the program. So that was literally a part of the curriculum as they came through. And it really took off. As you can see my page, like in the beginning of it, it really, man, it was like moths to a fire, man.
Oh,
Really.
Whenever you combine like therapy and movement, right?
Correct.
Like
Correct.
People are more inclined to come in, and that when they are more drawn to or motivated to be there, because they have a distraction, right? It's like DBT, right? That distracting yourself with some kind of sense, which in this is touch.
Correct.
You know, they tend to be a little bit more vulnerable, and then the therapeutic intervention can actually like take a hold.
Correct.
Right?
And you know, like, you know, I did a lot of studying on the brain, right? And what we put in our bodies, whether we see it, smell it, or hear it, or eat it, right? It's all major factors, right? So when I came into the program, I ripped all the addiction signs off the walls and revamped the whole place and made it a wellness center, you know? So like when you walk in, like, you know, if you're sick and you go to the doctors, right? Like who the fuck wants to go to the doctor and get a needle? Right. Nobody wants to go to the doctor and get a needle, right? So like you're coming into this place already knowing that you're sick, right? So like you don't want to look at posters on the wall to remind you like this and like, you know, like a medical setting, you know? So so I had good music coming through, frequency coming through the speakers through the whole place. You know, I had good smells coming through. So like, you know, and I tried for whatever you've seen when you came in, you know, what you're, you know, the comfortability of it, you know, to the welcoming of it.
Environment is everything.
Environment's everything, brother.
If people come in defensive, you're not going to get anywhere with it.
Correct.
Right.
And it really, really worked, bro. And I did a study.
Which is hysterical because they're coming in the fight, but you're breaking down the
How
defenses.
crazy is that, right, bro? Right, yeah. So essentially you're breaking everything down and then rebuilding, right, bro? Because that's what we do, right? Yeah. And so it had a profound effect, bro. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do a study for as long as I'm here. So I was there for 3.5 years, and I did that study for 3.5 years. And I brought, I had a Lodi in Garfield school district. So I had the kids coming through there, you know, through, you know, the bad kids coming through, yeah. And so I decided to do a study. And the kids that were residually coming back were not coming back no more, brother. So 7 out of 10